We are in the middle of a big week for the Buckeyes. You have to take Ryan Day's word for it. Playing at Purdue is no walk in the park, and you got to take them all seriously. But if it is the middle of the week on the beat, and he's Jeremy Birmingham, and I'm Austin Ward, that means we're probably going to need to get into some stocks, and we're going to buy or sell. What do you think about that?
I think that it sounds wonderful. I am selling West Lafayette, but I'm buying the opportunity to cover another beautiful Ohio State football game.
What's the latest forecast since you jinxed it on Saturday?
I don't know. Let's pull up the old weather machine.
I'll tell you what it is. I don't need to look.
You already looked?
1,000,000% chance of gray skies, 1,000% chance of precipitation, and 100% chance of depression for Purdue.
This is excellent television.
We're not on television.
60 degrees. The rain chance has dropped to 33%.
No, it didn't.
Just telling you what the weather be saying, okay?
You've been there before.
I know what's going to happen.
You got hit by a trash can in 2018.
I nearly died at Purdue in 2018, and then Ohio State did. The Buckeyes died so I could live that day.
Did you think about trading, sacrificing?
I asked.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted. Nobody cared.
Wanted it?
Nobody cared if I died, apparently. Thanks, America.
All right, so you're selling West Lafayette, as you should.
But I'm buying the trip. I love getting to cover Ohio State football. You know how weird it was to take like 3 weeks away from a game, and how good it felt to be back in Ohio Stadium?
Yeah, I know. That's why I said I missed you and talking about it, and you were like, look at this guy.
Buy that.
Wants to talk ball with Birm.
Let's, what are we buying and selling?
Where are you on run game?
I'm actually not sure. Because
we're off and running, folks.
Because I just don't.
Is that a hold?
No, because here's the thing.
The options are buy or sell.
We have been trying for now multiple weeks to determine exactly how the Buckeyes are getting to this rotation. And yet, and I guess I'm just to blame for this as well as anyone else, we only get one question to ask on a Tuesday.
You asked two.
I asked one. I just extended it. But who's making the call?
Okay.
Is it Ryan Day? Is it Brian Hartline? Is it Carlos Loughlin? It's probably Carlos Loughlin, I would imagine.
The approach in this building
has
always been to let the position coach handle the personnel rotation.
But the head coach does have veto power over everything, as we've seen in defensive line rotation at times. That said, I don't think that we watched the gap between Bo Jackson and everyone else, and it's obvious. And that's why Bo Jackson had double the carries of anyone else. So like in that vein, double the carries for everyone else makes perfect sense.
Sure.
Right? So like, I don't think that the ratio is the problem, but it's just one of those things that when you look at the overall picture, the pace of play, the number of plays Ohio State's running, if you only run it 32 times and you throw it 32 times, which is what Ohio State wants, and you're splitting it between 4 running backs, how do you get anyone going? And you saw in the second half on Saturday against Penn State, one of the best defenses in the country, that once Ohio State got it going and Bo Jackson got back in the game in the second half and became you're the guy, then there's a 50-yard run. You start to break stuff. The tight ends are blocking better. The offensive line.
You are allowed to break them.
You are allowed. Ryan Day said, feel free. So where I am is I don't think it's a schematic issue with the run game. I think it is a matter of guys getting into a rhythm, and it is very, very difficult for a running back. It sounds counterintuitive because your whole goal on the field is to not get hit, but like you need that adrenaline. You need to be hit. You need to be tackled. You need the football to start to feel like, okay, I'm seeing things well. I'm hitting the holes. My legs feel good. My feet are fast. And if you're just waiting, Isaiah West went in on the second series against Penn State and didn't play again till I don't remember if he played.
It looked like maybe he got banged up a little bit. I don't know.
Maybe he did. That's the problem. We never know these things.
But I don't know that as we stand here on a Woody Wednesday, we'll be in the evening to see, and we'll be monitoring, the health, because you can tie in the offensive line in the conversation with Tegra Shabola, Luke Montgomery, and Josh Padilla with whatever ailments they are dealing or not dealing with. That could be the same case for Isaiah West. We don't know for sure, and it didn't actually matter in that game that much because we've said all along, the one area where you need 4 running backs for is if you have any kind of health setback. And I would say kudos to James Peoples for making the most of the opportunities he got, whether that was because of his practice habits or the circumstances with Isaiah West. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. And I've certainly sold over the last few weeks the idea that all 4 of them could play in a given game. That actually did happen on Saturday. And I kind of thought, well, they have found ways to make that work. James Peoples was the one who was orbiting motion into the backfield on the play action throw to Carnell Tate for the touchdown. And pretty good, because he's people were aware that he was out there. He ran hard in the second half as well. So I don't know that necessarily applies as much to a playoff push and using them all. I agree with you that it's Bo Jackson, and then what is the best complement from there? C.J. Donaldson, it feels like the role may need to be more narrowly defined than it was, at least on Saturday against Penn State. But I think there were a bunch of things that you could take from all the backs that got on the field, because Isaiah West, before he disappeared, had a really impressive 11-yard run that was okay, off the charts. That's why he's got to be back out there. Tegra Shabola, we talked about the improvements that he made at right guard. Now, there were certainly, I think the run blocking was strangely better than the pass protection against Penn State.
Not strangely. Penn State has really good pass rushers.
Yeah, well, I mean, at least out of, I guess, maybe not strangely, but out of character for the way this team.
It's the best pass rushers they've faced since week 1, so like you expect a little drop-off, right?
Yeah, and it's not, I'm not saying it as a cause for concern or alarm. I just think that was the one game maybe this year where the run blocking was better than the pass protection. Not that I felt like either one was bad. But even the tight ends, I think across the board, you saw an uptick in some of their success in winning matchups and helping set up. Like, start to finish, is it perfect? No, but I also wouldn't expect it to be against a defense the caliber of Penn State. So I come out of Saturday last week really thinking that it is on the upswing. And there are parts of the scheme, I think, that were problematic, or at least that they weren't even getting to it.
Yeah.
I think the creativity, you're going to see some of that. The experience you're getting under the belt for Bo Jackson, for Isaiah West, for James Peoples. All that stuff is important, and I think that the best parts of the run game are still on the way, and I feel like I'm starting to see it.
Yeah, long story short, I'm buying it. Okay, like I do think there's a commitment to Bo Jackson being the bell cow, and then you figure out on a week-to-week basis who complements him best that day, who's going to give you the best. Maybe it's not even like a plan. Maybe it's let's see who goes out there and like we saw on Saturday with James Peoples, like the light maybe coming out. We talked about him last Thursday on the beat and how he's one of those guys where you're like, I can't believe that he hasn't had a bigger role for this team. And so now you maybe start to see the light coming on for him the way we did with Edric Houston on Saturday. So I think it's a buy situation. And again, we talked about it on Tuesday. You're 8 games into a season, but you're only halfway through. Like you shouldn't be your best team now. You're getting there. And for a team that has 3 new offensive line coaches and a whole new scheme when it comes to run protection or run blocking and gap schemes versus zone blocking and all the things they're doing, like it takes time. But Saturday was definitely encouragement. They ran for 150 plus yards. I know 50 of them were on 1 carry. I don't care. It's still 5 yards a carry against Penn State. Generally speaking, we'd be pretty happy with that.
So as we were wrapping up, or I was trying to wrap up Snap Judgments on Saturday at the Horseshoe, you said, hey, what do you think about Ohio State's rush defense? Are you concerned about it? But you didn't answer that yourself. Are you buying or selling any stock that you're putting into the silver bullets based on what they did against Penn State and Katron Allen?
It was a tale of two halves, and I'm not smart enough to know what they did differently in the second half. I'm not smart enough to know if it was just Penn State not running that little loaded full house, student body left, student body right, that they ran 3 times for 50 yards and a touchdown and blew the Buckeyes off the ball multiple times.
I felt like they only ran it to the left. Am I mistaken? I don't know.
I think they ran it short side to Singleton multiple times. I have had concerns from the start of the season about the defensive end ability to lock down the edge and to really set the edge, because these linebackers might be the 2 best linebackers in the country. And so it is imperative that you set the edge so that those guys in Caleb Downs can get there and clean up. One of my concerns is that in a defense that's got so many moving parts, it does not always behoove you to just line up in a traditional defense. And so when you're out there and you're moving Caden Curry around and Arvell Reese is going here and so, like, when you get caught, and Ohio State got caught a few times against Penn State, then you give up big plays. And everything for me, and I'm sure a lot of Ohio State fans who watch our show and formulate their own thoughts, is geared towards what happens on November 29th. And that problem that we saw on Saturday, that was a first half issue, is like, I can see how Michigan could replicate that, because that's what they do. Like, that's all they do. They don't even need, Justice Haynes may not play in that game based on the surgery or whatever he had earlier this week. But like, Jordan Marshall's pretty good, and Michigan's offensive line, they're not afraid to put 7-8 offensive linemen out there on a play.
Nope.
And when that happens, how does Ohio State respond? I've been like stock way up, if we're going to mix stock shows here. on the interior defensive line, like way up. Like biggest surprise from the offseason to now is how good the defensive tackles have played.
Agreed.
But I'm still looking for Bo Atkinson to be that edge setter on the run game. Like, I don't expect Caden Curry to do that. Like, Caden Curry has his job. He's 6'3" and 255 pounds. He does different things. Kenyatta Jackson's playing lights out. It's the other side when Kenyatta's not out there that I'm still going, and like Logan George didn't play. He's played very limited. Obviously, CJ Hicks did not even dress on Saturday. So clearly the commitment to getting to the offseason with him and then seeing if he can play in the postseason is there. Something, is that more Peyton Pierce? I don't know how the Buckeyes do it, but yes, that is still a concern for me. So I'm going to sell run defense on the edge. Can I really segment this stock here?
You can.
Like that to me is
there are no rules.
That is the defensive concern I have about this team. Nothing else on this defense gives me any pause.
Yeah, I think those are the traits that Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau were best at for most of their career.
Sorry to interrupt you, but like one of the reasons why people always thought that they weren't dynamic enough or electric enough.
Because that's not something that shows up necessarily in the box score. You might get a tackle. You might force something back inside to spill a run and get it stopped for a yard or two. And that's not sexy. It's not flashy. It was really important, especially as Ohio State went on that run to the national championship. And I think that's also why when Ryan Day talks more directly about Caden Curry's rise and finding, for 15 snaps in clear pass rushing situations, the energy is going to be off the charts and he's going to run down plays and we've always seen that potential, but is he going to be able to hold up and do the exact same thing that Jack and JT would do? And I think he's doing a really good job of it.
He is a Bednarik finalist, right?
Well,
or semifinalist.
Because he is, he's got 7 sacks, he's got 37 tackles. He's been really freaking good for Ohio State. But when you, even just looking at Kenyatta and Caden, you know that they are better pure pass rushers than I think either one of those two guys were a year ago. Yeah. Both very good. They're different body types. They're different, being used differently by Matt Patricia and Larry Johnson this year. That's all well and good. I think it's not out of the realm to just say, all right, well, that could be the way that you would potentially attack them. Now, are there many other teams that could capitalize on that the way that Penn State could or that Michigan would try to? I'd say probably not.
Right.
That's even when we're talking about playoff matchups.
Playoffs?
Yeah.
Talking about playoffs?
We're not that far away from it. And look, because Purdue is not capable of that in any way, shape, or form.
Devin Maccabee out for the season now, by the way. We talked about it on the live show. And not it would have mattered.
I think
he's their best player. I'm just saying.
You've talked about Devin Maccabee.
I'm just contextualizing. I'm just saying he's their best player. So now they're without their best offensive player. So
maybe he'll come back. He's just got to save him for.
He tweeted that his career's over.
Don't let him play against Ohio State.
If Devin Maccabee, if you tweeted that your career's over,
don't toy with Birm's emotions. You know how much he
like
loves
Devin
to talk
Maccabee.
about
I like Devin Maccabee. I want him on my Cincinnati Bengals football team.
At any rate, the point is that the way Ohio State would defend a rushing attack is different now than if you had Jack or JT. That's just a product of the personnel that they have. And it's not, I don't think, a good or bad thing because the linebackers are more equipped to deal with it.
And they have more freedom to do things.
And I think that that's important. So I wasn't concerned on Saturday about it. I think that Penn State's offensive line is still good, and I think Katron Allen is very good. So you're not going to win every single rep. We have a tendency, speaking only for you and me, when we're nitpicking, the bad plays, quote unquote, the 3 or 4 times that you lose a rep, that's pretty common in college football.
It is.
But the standard in this building, and what you hear it all the time, is that, and Ryan Day said before they went out to practice on Tuesday for a bloody Tuesday, it's like, well, you can't have a bad play.
Yeah, you're not allowed.
You're not allowed.
You are allowed to break off a big run. You are not allowed to have a bad play.
Those are the rules.
Yeah.
Those are the rules of engagement.
Sorry, kids.
When you're going out to practice at Ohio State. But because then when you zoom back out, you say, well, they gave up less than 200 yards of offense to Penn State.
Yeah, they outrushed Penn State by 100 yards. They gave up, a total of 50-some yards, and they gave up 25 on the first play of the game. So, obviously they fixed it. But it's like, what is the potential wart? What is the stone, now that we're going to use that a reference for the rest of the year, that metaphor for the rest of the year?
I hope we retired after Purdue.
What is the stone? Where is the stone?
Mr. Jones?
No. I'm actually quoting the movie Snatch by Guy Ritchie. You're quoting Indiana Jones.
Don't
Where is the stone?
Don't they both say it?
Where is the stone?
I think Snatch was quoting Indiana Jones.
It's Benicio del Toro. It's a great movie. If you've never seen it, you should watch it. Anyway, it's not like big picture. You don't look at it and be like, that's a major concern. But if you think about what happens when you play Alabama and they have 7 offensive linemen out there, like it's just how do you fix it before it becomes a stone?
A kidney stone.
There is the stone.
So we mentioned James Peoples, and you also dropped Edric Houston in there. I was just going to say what one player on Saturday you wanted to buy, because we still have to have a little bit of a traditional stock watch. You got to have a little stock watch at work.
You should be allowed to have a little stock watch at work. I think it's going to be weird to say, because it's not like he's a guy that's been a disappointment in any way, but it's Max Clare for me.
Oh, I thought you already owned all that stock.
I just think that what you saw, he was less involved in the passing game, but he was more impactful in the game.
He was.
And like for a tight end who's trying to develop into an long-term NFL guy, not just a cup of coffee guy, like he would have been if he stayed at Purdue, probably. Like, this is why he came to Ohio State. And I don't know if I'm convinced that there's conversation in this building with Max about, hey, one more year here would actually behoove you.
I think he knows that.
And so, like, it's a conversation that has shifted from the start of the season for him, because there was no concept of him returning for 2026 when he transferred. Now it's like, wow, I'm learning a lot. I'm getting a lot better. I'm doing other things. I'm becoming a more complete tight end. And I don't know. Remember when Ohio State went to Chicago last year?
Mm-hmm.
Remember what Carnell Tate did to Northwestern?
I do.
I'm just telling you now, my BPs on Friday may have a little bit of a Max Clare feel, because I think that the Buckeyes are going to make sure Max gets rewarded for the effort he put in on Saturday as a blocker, as a physical guy, and by rewarding him with the football a number of times on Saturday.
I feel like they did that specifically for Bennett Christian on Saturday.
Sure did.
It's stock ups on the tight ends. September was like all about, hey, 13 and 14, and this is great, and they're throwing it over here to Will Kazmarek, and then you still got Max Clare on the rise, and then October was like, maybe that's too much.
Yeah, I mean, I'm out on the 83 as the fullback for now. Like, that's where I'm at personally, but I know it's still going to be used, so I think that these next few weeks are a good opportunity to to fix it.
I wonder why, and maybe it's time to ask Ryan more specifically about that, because I don't mean it as a criticism of Nate Roberts.
He's a freshman.
I'm frankly surprised that they have given him as many opportunities as clearly he's earning it on the practice field, or Keenan Bailey and Brian Hartline and Ryan Day wouldn't all continue to be putting him in that spot. And I think that it's great that they trust a true freshman in that spot, but we've certainly seen him fail to execute in some of those situations. On the first C.J. Donaldson touchdown, he did get a block. I think on the play before, maybe he didn't. That's the inconsistency and the flashing that you talk about a lot. But like, why aren't there other potential options that you could line up if you're insistent on using that fullback, because it's going to create different layers or different surface levels and all those other things that coaches like to talk about that I'm too simple to understand, too smooth brain to understand. Like, we know, I know for sure that you don't want to put the extra reps on Caden McDonald, but we've seen Ohio State actually use that before.
But isn't it worth just asking Wednesday night, Ryan, what is your fullback depth chart?
Well, like, who else could do it?
Right.
Because isn't there also a world where like C.J. Donaldson could do that, and then you could put James Peoples or Bo Jackson behind him? That seems like it'd be pretty effective.
Well, and it would certainly change the element.
Or Jelani.
It would give you a different element, at least, when it comes to like, oh, there's 2 running backs back there doing something that, because every time 83 goes out there, you know what the play call is. And so,
but and that's what I mean, if the fullback is being inserted at a high leverage point as a blocker, I would think that Nate Roberts would be like 5th amongst Ohio State tight ends as being able to do that. Like Bennett Christian, Jelani Thurman, you can even put Will Kazmarek or Max Clare back there. It seems like it gives you a different level of dynamism.
It is a inverse conversation about the Jermaine Matthews versus Davison Igbinosun versus Devin Sanchez. Like, so if you take one of those other guys and put him in the backfield, is Nate able to go do that? So I don't know, but I just think that in sum, the question was, who am I thinking about and took a step?
And it was Max Clare.
And it was Max Clare.
Yeah.
Now that we've completely digressed into a whole different conversation, but that's what happens.
That's okay. I mean, you follow the threads wherever they go on a Wednesday on the beat.
You didn't answer yours.
You talked about James Peoples, and I mentioned him. I thought that he made the most out of that. I was ready to I wasn't ready to write off the career. I was ready to say this season it wasn't going to happen. They were going to narrow down the roles, and like you're just going to have to bounce back. And
Confidence is such a funny thing, man.
It ebbs and flows. I think we mentioned it maybe on Thursday last week. Like the similarities between what Edric Houston and James Peoples are both going through are remarkable, especially because those positions couldn't be more different. And I didn't talk to James Peoples coming off the field on Saturday. I did talk to Edric Houston, and the level of confidence for him compared to a month ago, where he was like, "Here we go."
Yeah.
And I said to him, a conversation that we had was like, maybe I set the bar too high, and that it was an assumption that you were already going to be right here at this level, and we didn't wait for you to climb and improve and develop and get to that point, and it was too much. And I'm not speaking for you, but like, he's like, well, yeah, but now that we're here, look, what's going to happen now?
It's just what happens when you come to Ohio State, and especially if you're come to Ohio State and you play as a freshman and you're a guy that people are talking about. Like, people around campus talk to you different. They have different expectations. That starts to creep into your own head. And so for Edric, for James, like one of the things, it's not directly related, but Jay Timmons, he's a cornerback from Pittsburgh who took an official visit to Ohio State last weekend. One of his quotes about what made Ohio State special in his mind, what captured his attention, was that if you come here and you don't do the job, you're out. You get passed up.
Don't have a job.
And so, like, you know that subconsciously when you choose to play at Ohio State, but I don't think sometimes you see it actually occurring. And then all of a sudden, you're like, wait a second, I don't have the reps I thought I was going to have. Everyone told me these were mine, and then you have to actually keep earning them. So it is what it is.
How did this ESPN ball
That's
get
a tiny little baby ball.
Woody Hayes Athletic Center?
It's a tiny baby ball.
I didn't think that they cared about Big Ten football. Huh. What do you know?
Stock down on ESPN.
Stock up on Adam King for throwing that ball in here. He's behind the camera right now. As we wrap up in here on The Beat, a Wednesday stock watch, a modified version, some buying and selling, some investing in the future. It's all happening, folks, because we are into November, which is for contenders. Ohio State, 1 o'clock. Again, that is 1 o'clock Eastern time. West Lafayette is in the Eastern time zone, Birm.
I've learned.
On Saturday. Cannot wait for that one. Very excited to get back into this building again later on Wednesday for some snap judgments. We'll see what Ohio State's health situation is like as they get ready to take on the Boilermakers. Thanks for joining us on 97.1 The Fan, 10 TV, 10 TV Plus, or anywhere you get your podcasts. We appreciate you as always. He's Birm. I'm Austin. We'll talk to you later.